Hello, hello, hello. Grab your coffee and welcome to another ContaTour podcast. And today it's a special one. We are celebrating our first International Tourism Week at Exa Group Canada, and you are welcome to join us. We are talking today about AstroTourism. Have you heard about it before? It's a new market niche in tourism industry, and New Brunswick in Canada has a beautiful landscape to enjoy this kind of experience. Is your first time here at ContaTour podcast? If yes, subscribe to our channel and follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Exa Group Canada is in almost every social media platform. And if you like to understand, to learn, to listen about tourism, sustainable development, and rural communities development, you are in the right place. Just come on and listen a little bit more about experience from our tour operators in Canada. Exa Group Canada has developed a sustainable tourism system since 2011 in Brazil, and since 2020, it's developing solutions for communities in Canada. We have been in Ontario, in Nova Scotia, and New Brunswick, and now we are expanding our communication through Canada, coast to coast to coast. And we will host some technical visits and workshops in this winter in different regions of Canada. If you want to discover more, please follow us, and you can go to our website exagroupcanada.com, exagroupcanada.com, and send us your question through one of the forms that is available on our website. Okay, it's recording, okay? Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to ContaTour podcast. I am Mark Xavier, your beloved tourism expert in the world. Today, we have the pleasure to speak with Stéphane Picard. He's owner of the Cliff Valley Astronomy, and he's doing a really great job in New Brunswick, bring AstroTourism to the table and speak about this wonderful experience in New Brunswick with us. Hi, Stéphane. How are you?
Hi, Edmar. Thank you for having me on, and hello, everybody.
Thank you. Please, I have some questions, and I hope you can speak a little more about AstroTourism here in Canada and New Brunswick as well.
Yes,
What
absolutely.
is Cliff Valley Astronomy, and who is Stéphane Picard?
Well, there's a mouthful there, but I reside in Quispamsis, New Brunswick, just outside of St. John, and I've been an amateur astronomer and astrophotographer for a few years now, and really passionate about it, and to the point where, as you can see with the several telescopes behind me, it can be a hobby you can really exaggerate on, and you can spend a lot of money. So to get to the next level, it was going to be very, very expensive. So I thought, and my background is marketing, I thought there might be a way to make some money with my hobby to help me get to the next level. And so that's how Cliff Valley came about as an idea. reason I called it the Cliff Valley Astronomy is because we're right on the edge of the town limits of Quispamsis. We're basically kind of in the woods, and I'm looking directly southeast, which is towards the Bay of Fundy, and everything rises east southeast. So I have a beautiful setting and that's how I have a 200-foot cliff behind the house. So that's where the genesis for Cliff Valley became, because that's where I got my inspiration for them. And initially, I launched a business in April of this year, and I was starting with offering private star parties for small groups. So basically, people hire me for me to come with a powerful telescope and all my gear, and I give them the opportunity over a course of 2 or 3 hours to see what I see. You know, because once you look through the night sky through a telescope, you get a very different perspective, and it's amazing to see some of the reactions sometimes. And then as I thought more about where I could go with this business, seeing a little bit of success at the start, I was like, AstroTourism should be something that, you know, I should focus on and help people, because of my knowledge and knowing the region quite well, where I could help people find match them with the perfect destination if they're looking to stargaze, because I think we have a lot of assets in Eastern Canada, particularly in New Brunswick as well, that aren't well understood. So anyway, so that's where I'm on my journey to develop, hopefully, AstroTourism in New Brunswick. There is a small presence in Nova Scotia, but I think overall there's a whole world of opportunity out there for the tourism industry.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steph. It's a pleasure to meet you and introduce you to our listeners. And if you like this kind of subject, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can also find Exa Group Canada and the ContaTour podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and the best podcast platforms in the world you like more. Let's prepare the second question, no? Stefan, yeah. What is the economic impact of astrotourism and who benefits?
Yeah, and here I'll be quite long-winded because there's a lot to explain, and it's relatively a new sort of concept or a segment as far as tourism goes. You know, astrotourism can add value to destination and experience travel and tourism for those who wish to sort of escape the urban suburban landscape to seek refuge in nature, whether it's on the coasts, in our forests and provincial national parks, where also those regions happen to be less light polluted. So you see people doing stuff all day long, activities, going to the beach, going on hikes and all that, but what are they doing at night other than sitting by the campfire, for example? You know, look up. It's the sky is a free thing. I mean, it's untold wonders of beauty, and over the generations, as our civilization grew, we lost our intimate relationship with the night sky. Our ancestors used to rely on it for telling them the time of year, to like, when is it time to harvest? When is it time to hunt? You know, when is it time to get ready for winter and so forth? And also, most of the exploration that's happened in the world, whether it's at sea or on land, have relied on stars to set their way on their exploring, you know, or wherever you had to go back then. And as cities grew and there was more light and all this and that, now you just see a purple sky, and you're lucky if you can see beyond the sun and the moon. maybe the planets are bright enough, but the rest, we're losing our visual aspects of the stars and anything else, the Milky Way and so forth. So, I think the real benefits are mostly to the rural coastal tourism operators. And there's lots of it. I mean, aside from the potentially increasing more tourists, more traffic to your businesses, you're adding value. So they might be willing to pay more for their stay. And, so astronomy is also year-round, where you have certain aspects of tourism is seasonal, like snowmobiling is only in the winter, hunting is only in the fall, or fishing in the summer. What do people do at night, though? So if you're catering to those types of tourism opportunities, now there's something else to add to it. And the beauty of astronomy is, as the season changes, the night sky changes. Summer has the core of the Milky Way between the Sagittarius and Scorpius constellation. That's the core of the Milky Way. That's the center of our galaxy. There's so many objects that are mostly naked eye, nebulas, star clusters. And when you start putting even as little as a binoculars, or even moving up to a telescope, the beauties are just amazing. And as you move into the fall and into the winter, you get the Andromeda galaxy, you get the Orion constellation with the beautiful Orion Nebula, which is a naked eye object, the Pleiades star cluster, which again is another naked eye thing. So there's something to see that's different throughout the year. And I think aside from being its own segment, I think it can complement other segments of tourism. So I'm going to dive into some numbers. This is my marketing background coming through. And I wanted to give an example that also people that live within New Brunswick take small day trips to go to one region for the day with the family. They do some activities and they return at night. What AstroTourism could do is give them a purpose to stay overnight, even if it's just one night. And then, now there's an activity that keeps them grounded into, now they need an accommodation, more meals, potential for spending on more activities, merchandise, and so forth. So I pulled up a study from the U.S. National Parks organization, where in the pre-pandemic, a couple of years before the pandemic, they did a study where the average family that does a day trip spends about $90 US. But if you can convert them into an overnight stay, that $90 becomes about $270, which basically is a 200% increase. Basically, it triples the spend. So if we relate that comparably, that it's an educated guess that Canadian families behave and act the same as far as doing day trips, and the potential into changing them into an overnight stay, when you translate it into Canadian dollars, that $120, $125 they would spend ordinarily to just go for the day and come back now is more like $350 plus if they opt to stay at a campground, at a cottage, at any of the fine accommodations that are in the areas they're going to do their day trip now, overnight trip. So there's a lot of potential there. And what I wanted to also elaborate on is AstroTourism can be a play for any type of AstroTourism. You can hop in and not spend a whole lot of investment by providing, let's say for a campground, fireside chats where you bring in an astronomer, or potentially bring, if you're close to a First Nations, if they have somebody that can talk about the rich culture and folklore and the legends of their relationship in the past with the night sky. That creates an experience. And really, that doesn't cost a whole lot, but it makes a unique offering that can help a campground distinguish itself from others, or you can be a more larger operation type of like a lodge or an inn where you can invest into maybe a decent telescope, and you put it out there, you promote it, that you can do a star party for the people you have staying in your accommodations at night. Or if somebody comes to you that's already well versed in astronomy, then you can have them use your telescope and they do something while they're away from home that they love doing. These are all value adds that can add to a little bit more money, a little bit better margin in, growing our industry into healthier businesses, where that translates into better wages or more hiring, more investment within their business, or investment in their community and giving back to the community. So, it's really something that can benefit far and wide, not just the businesses, but an industry as a whole, and also the communities that they are in.
Really,
That was
really
a mouthful. I'm sorry, I'm a little passionate.
No, don't worry about that. It's really, I really like it. It's new information, it's new knowledge, and it's new marketing niche for tourism industry. And we need to explore better some new ideas to bring new economic paths for our communities. No,
Yeah, absolutely.
really nice. I really like it. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's fine.
Why? Let's go to the next question. Why New Brunswick need to explore the AstroTourism as an economic growth strategy asset?
I think that, I'm involved with the hobby. I belong to the Royal Astronomy Society of Canada and the St. John Astronomy Club, and you get always a lot of information about the things about astronomy in your region, your province, and in your country. And one thing that was really striking to me, that really set me on the path of exploring astrotourism, is that New Brunswick has 4 certified dark sky sites. 3 of them are preserves. They're Mount Carlton Provincial Park in northwest New Brunswick. There's Kouchibukwak National Park, which is near Miramichi, sort of towards the eastern northeast side of the province. There's Fundy National Park, which is in Alma, not far from Moncton. And then here in St. John, we have the first Canadian urban star park. There are more now, but the Irving Nature Park was the first recognized urban star park. And that's just basically the distinction that the skies are good enough, you can get some good quality viewing while being close to a urban center. So with 4 recognized dark sky sites, and with the relative small population in New Brunswick, about 750,000, give or take, right? That compared to all the other provinces, and some provinces have more, but they have a larger population. Really, New Brunswick has the advantage of having the most dark sky sites per province per capita. And it's not well understood. I mean, there's some people in the astronomy field here that do know this, but I don't think it's been really seen as an asset, well understood, or even started to really take advantage of it. So that's where I decided that there is an opportunity here, because it's not just having the occasional person who might have an interest in the night sky. I mean, I think as a cross section of the whole population, everybody is always interested to see what's up in the sky, whether it's the moon and all that, but they don't have the ability to, like the less than 1% of the population who are heavily involved in astronomy or so forth, the way they can see it. So when you can give them that opportunity to see it like nobody else usually sees it, I think that creates a great opportunity. And with 4 strategically located dark sky sites around the province, they're essentially in all 4 corners. The whole province can kind of benefit from this, right? So that's sort of really set me on the mission. I mean, I've approached the province to have talks on this, and but some people will say, well, it doesn't matter where you are. Basically, you can sort of see the same things in the sky, and I'll argue that that's a little bit missing the point, because, for example, if you talk about Alma, right, you got the Fundy National Park, you got also the world famous flower pots that when the tide go down, you can walk on the ocean bed, and you can walk at these things that are like 40, 50 feet tall. Well, there's people that are taking pictures of the Milky Way at night when the tide's down with those in the foreground. You cannot have that anywhere else in the world. That is very distinct to New Brunswick. Or if I use another example, Northern Lights, the Aurora Borealis. So I'm just going to refer them to Northern Lights because that's a mouthful. The northern part of the province is more apt to see them before the southern part of the province. And right now, the sun's in a very active period for the next 7 years or so, where there's a lot of activity in solar flares, which eventually cause the stimulation in our atmosphere that creates the northern lights. And there's been several times this past year that we have all our apps that can tell us and predict when we can see. There's always like bathers, and them always get to see them before we do. And if depending how strong it is, sometimes it doesn't even get down to us here in southern New Brunswick. So the northern part of the province is more apt to see northern lights. That could be something, that's uniquely distinctive to that part of the province to do. Now, northern lights are more hard to predict, but usually you have a window of about 3 days where they can sort of estimate if it will be good enough for northern lights. So that's just one way of making it say, yeah, everybody looks at the same moon, everybody looks at the same star like Antares, but it's the setting you're in that really creates that experience. It's not just the sky, it's where you're at, right? Looking at a meteor shower while sitting on the beach, those are amazing experiences that everybody can take advantage. You don't have to be a seasoned astronomer. Sometimes there are rare and unusual celestial events where you need somebody a little bit more versed, but that also creates the opportunity for people to go seek those opportunities. So I think as a province, I think we're uniquely positioned with the assets of most of the province is rural. A lot of the tourism operators are situated on the coast, and New Brunswick has quite a long coast because you go from Baie des Chaleurs down to Northumberland Strait and to the Bay of Fundy. That gives a unique shoreline, not quite the same amongst the other provinces. So there's a lot of opportunities to go for the coast or go inwards into the province, into our great woodlands. Central New Brunswick is just pristine dark skies, like down the Miramichi Valley, down towards Stoketown. When you look at more northwesternly towards Mount Carlton, like there's no civilization in some instances for dozens and dozens of miles, which means really pristine dark skies. Like some friends in our astronomy club, when they do a star party at Mount Carlton, the Milky Way is so bright it casts a shadow. There's enough light of the Milky Way alone that you can see a faint shadow if you're holding your hand over something like a piece of paper or whatever. So that's really amazing, right? So we need to capitalize on this.
Well, Wow, Stefan. It's
Long-winded
beautiful.
there again.
No, no, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Everything, every word you tell us, it's impressive. It's kind. We can see the Milky Way on your words in this podcast because
I
your
hope so.
love
I
it
hope I can
for
paint a picture because there's nothing like seeing it. So really, I hope I'm doing it justice by trying to explain it. So, I hope it really drives people to get out there and look up.
yeah. Let's bring some people to discover this kind of experience. Next question. How is your expectation concerning the total eclipse in 2024? What should New Brunswick prepare for this event?
It's two-pronged. I think the timing is right now, is right at the moment to start embarking in this AstroTourism strategy, because there is a solar eclipse coming in April of 2024. It's going to go right through New Brunswick, crossing about Florenceville from near the Maine border, passing along just north of Fredericton. As it keeps going eastward, it'll go just below Miramichi. Actually, Couchibuquac National Park is, I believe, right in the path of totality, which is the center, which is the best viewing. But about 50 kilometers north or south of that path of totality will offer opportunities to see the full eclipse as it's supposed to be seen. What does it mean for us? Well, I'm going to give an example. In 2017, there was a full solar eclipse that went through the Midwest U.S., heading sort of a little bit westward. And the example I'm going to give is the state of Wyoming. It's a state about the size of New Brunswick, but it has less population. It's one of the few states in the U.S. that has less population than New Brunswick. But they had a great path of totality through the state, and their tourism department studied the economic impact of having tourists seeking to be able to see the full eclipse in the areas that it was going to be in their state. And they found out that it drove 261,000 visitors over 5 days and generated an economic impact of $63.5 million US.
Whoa!
And the eclipse lasts 5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes.
It's a very short, right? Because to be a full eclipse, the moon has to completely cover the disk of the sun. So both objects are moving. Well, actually, we're moving around the sun, but the moon's also moving and we're moving. So 5 minutes, you'll see it slowly transition out. But as soon as you see the sun, or just before it comes in front, it's not a full eclipse. It's not a full eclipse still. The moon completely covers the disk of the sun, right? So it's really short window, because when that happens, you can get a corona around it that people try to shoot with a camera and all this and that. So anyway, such a small window of an event has that much of an impact. And there was literally dozens of states that were positively impacted by the 2017 full eclipse. I have friends that went to Memphis because it was passing by nearby, and they went there and to visit Memphis and also partake into the solar eclipse. So that's just an example, right? Because what's going to happen in 2024, it's really going to come up from the equator on the western side of Mexico, cross into Arizona, and then make its way across the Midwest into Michigan, a little bit of Ontario, a little bit a lower part of Quebec, catch Aroostook County, I believe, roughly in Maine, and then come through directly through midway through our province. It's going to literally slice the province in half. So this is really a North American thing, but I don't know everybody will be willing to pay I don't know, $2, $3, $4, $5,000 to go see it in either Mexico or Arizona or some of those further away distances, when we can have it go through here fairly, and where it's going to slice the province in half. Nobody in the province will be more than an hour and a half away from it.
It's
So
really good. It's
yeah,
a wonderful opportunity for tourism experiences, for cruises, for a lot of different tourism activities around New Brunswick.
yeah. Yeah, and in talking with the tourism department here in New Brunswick, they are aware. They're planning to do a lot of promotion around it. So it's going to be really across the tourism industry here in New Brunswick is going to benefit from it. Like in Fredericton, the big hotels will draw a lot of people in that urban side. Along the Miramichi River Valley, where the eclipse is very close, the path of totality is very close to that region. Cottages, Airbnb rentals. Well, it's April, so I don't suspect any campgrounds will be open, but there'll be opportunities for players big and small to really take advantage of it. And I think the more rural destinations, for example, maybe Doketown or just below Miramichi and so forth, will probably be where the most versed sky watchers, such as astronomers, eclipse chasers, will definitely want to hang their hat for a few days in preparation for the eclipse.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I hope to add value to our plans with your strategy to bring AstroTourism to New Brunswick.
I'd love to help on that for sure. Definitely. I think the eclipse itself, just to finish my thoughts there, will hopefully show the industry, like the businesses, the tourist operators, what the real potential of AstroTourism can deliver, as far as adopting it, and that we can firmly plant our flag as a province and saying, we are a an AstroTourism destination. You must see, you must do, and I think the eclipse will help create that understanding. I can explain all the opportunities about it, but if we don't get the sector to get behind it, then it's not going to be as an optimal opportunity as it should be. So that's why I think the eclipse coming in about 18 months is going to be very critical on how we move forward as an industry in our province.
Okay, fantastic. Do you have some final thoughts to share with our public?
Yeah, that's why I'm sort of keep repeating is we need the industry to be on board, because then that'll show our provincial government that the opportunity is real, that there is support, there is buy-in, and I think we can cater to any sky gazer from around the world in any capacity, small and large opportunities, from campgrounds to our most intricate inns and hotels in the region, and have so much offering that can appeal to everybody. And I think the strategy, I go back to an old saying that if you aim for the moon, well, if you miss, then you hit the stars. I think this is the mentality we should have going into this AstroTourism strategy. I apologize for the pun, but I think it's very fitting into understanding what lies in front of us and what a great opportunity this is.
Okay, really nice. Stefan, I have a question. It's
Sure.
outside our script, but I would like to ask you,
Sure.
what is the difference between AstroTourism to UFOs viewers?
Well, one hasn't been proven yet, but there is within the world of astronomy and physics at the research university professional level, the search for UFOs. Are we alone in the universe? And with all uh, the great developments from the James Webb Telescope and all the other different types of space telescopes we have out there, and all the research that's being done, we only, like 50 years ago, we thought the Milky Way was the entire universe. Hubble and now James Webb has made us understand that there's 2 trillion billion galaxies out there.
It's too much, no?
Yeah. So there's a famous equation from a scientist, a U.S. astronomer, physics researcher, called the Drake equation, where basically it sets out and it takes the probability of a star having a viable planet that's in the right zone, and the probability of life, and then the probability of intelligent life. So they worked out, these are very smart people. Anyways, the most recent fact I heard from the researcher doing around the equation, with the Milky Way having around 400 billion stars, they think there's 36 intelligent worlds out there.
Wow.
But the distances are so vast that it's hard to get to them. The closest star to us is Proxima Centauri, which is 4 light years away.
Okay.
So 4
Do you
light
think-
years is 40 trillion kilometers. And at the speed of light would take 4 years. Right now, the fastest thing we could probably send that way would probably take upwards of several hundred years to get there.
Do you think this James Webb telescope can capture some intelligence in our universe?
I think we might see that there is signs of intelligence in the universe, but again, the distances are so, even sending radio signals into space, it does not travel faster than the speed of light. If something is 2.5 million light years away, it's going to take 2.5 million light years for our message to get there, and then to hear the reply will take another 2.5 million years. Right? That's the challenges. I think exploration will be done more by robots than that we create, because the universe is not a gentle place for humans.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, we're getting a little sidetracked there, but that's just the kinds of conversations we have in our world of astronomy, right?
And I hope to see one UFO one day before I die.
Well, I don't know if I want to see one, but I do want to know maybe that there is something out there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much, guys, for your attention today to listen this wonderful podcast. Please, Stefan, give your message to these wonderful listeners.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. I welcome anybody who have any questions to reach out to Extra Group, or even go find Cliff Valley Astronomy on Facebook and Instagram. There is a website eventually coming, but we're slowly starting, and we're just thrilled to be collaborating with Edmar and his team going forward.
Thank you very much, Stéphane. It's new time for new thinkings, for new ideas, and for innovation. Thank you very much for your contribution to the tourism industry. We really appreciate your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, guys.
Yes, we'll be talking soon.
And don't forget, subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Spotify on your podcast platform. And yeah, have a wonderful day, and we talk soon. If you need something, if X Group Canada can help in any way, please contact us. www.exagroupcanada.com, exagroupcanada.com. The link is here in your screen and you can see it. And you can call us at 902-450-7230 and reach us by email at operations@exagroupcanada.com. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a lovely, lovely day. Bye, see you soon.